live. I love this time of year, this autumn, cold, nippy winds, fresh air in the mornings, and then warming your bones in the afternoon. It's really nice. I hope everybody's had a really great week this week. And before I get into what we're going to talk about today, which is basically what we've been talking about in the group all week, I just want to thank people who have actually added comments and their perspective and insights this week. It's been really great reading them, and it's also I've had a couple of private messages, and that has also been really well received. So thank you. So welcome to Field Notes for this week. We have been exploring what shows up for all of us when we talk about pressure. So like most weeks, this is about, I talk about subjects that have come up within my mentoring, questions that I've been asked. And my assumption is if I'm being asked these questions, then other people might like to have the information also that may be relevant to them and their situation and their horses. And like I say, this week it has been something that shows up for all of us when we spend time with our horses at one point or another, and that is the moment that we apply a little pressure. And that could be a hand on the shoulder, or a request to follow the lead rope, for example. And I'll get onto it later in a minute, but it can also be a mental or emotional pressure. But that moment when our horses lean into it, they lean right back into the pressure that we are applying. One of the reasons people find this subject really challenging is because when we talk about pressure, it automatically triggers a negative emotion in us, because pressurizing our horses, or that feeling that we are not in control of the pressure that we apply, and the judgment that is put upon that word within the community, that you should be not applying pressure and having conversations with your horses. So it's a really delicate subject. But like everything that we do in the rewilding, the rewild coaching program, understanding the nature of the horse helps us understand how the horses take this on board, this part of the dialogue on board. And like with everything that we do here in the group, and particularly in these 15-minute conversations, it isn't going to answer all your questions. It is not going to be an in-depth conversation. That is obviously where you will find everything in the mentoring program. But I do like to give as much information that is solid. So not a little information is a dangerous thing. Enough information that it's solid, so that you can have a good basic understanding of it, so that you can start appreciating these dialogues with your horses for the future. So when our horses do lean into the pressure that we apply, sometimes we feel that it is also a negative response from them. It is resistance. It is much more of a no. But what is happening underneath is something different, and it is really, really fascinating. So what we're seeing in those moments isn't defiance, isn't resistance. It is biology. It is nature. Horses have something called the opposition reflex. And this is an instinct, a nervous system response that is designed to keep them upright and safe. It's that simple. And when pressure, particularly touch pressure, is applied to the skin, their bodies automatically pushes back to maintain balance and stability. In nature, this reflex helps horses stay steady against the terrain, the wind, the movement of another horse, uneven ground, and it is closely tied to their survival mechanism. And I say this often, and I'll say it again here: horses are constantly in a conversation with themselves about how safe they are. Am I safe in this? Am I safe in this? And being upright, balanced, is obviously the safest place to be within their bodies if they are going to have to respond to anything from their environment that's going to put that safety at risk. So this instinct, this survival mechanism, is written into their body's design. Dr. Sue McDonnell, and you can Google her and look her up, has done research on this. And she describes this natural reaction, this body's nervous system mechanism, very clearly in the equid ethogram. And she notes that many of the things that we label as resistance are simply reflexive movements. So a little bit, I guess, that action reaction, but it is not action reaction. It is action reaction coming in and applying equilibrium to create balance within that pressure. The horse isn't specifically choosing to lean. It is their nervous system that is reacting faster than thought. So when we feel that lean, it isn't about control. It isn't about them fighting for control. It is communication. And the beauty of the nervous system is that it is adaptable. It is one of ours and our horses, the part of the biology that we share. It is part of our superpower as a human being, as a mammal, that we can adapt and our nervous systems can find different pathways when conversations are clearly delivered with clarity, if you like. So through consistent release and clear timing, and this is where your release and timing and feel comes in to help your horses rewrite some of that nervous system mechanisms within a domestic setting, within our domestic dialogues that we have with them. Horses then can learn that yielding actually brings the balance that they desire, that they are searching for. So that release becomes information for them. It's a new conversation in their bodies, and it gets filed away in the I am safe with this pressure and release that is happening, this to and fro that is happening. It gets put into the pathway of I can adapt to this, even though my instinct would be to push against it. This consistent conversation, this clarity that I'm having within this dialogue means that I can switch that, adapt to that, and become safe within that. So over time, the instinct to push back gives way to curiosity, and that is confidence. And it all comes back to those two words, curiosity and confidence. Certainly in the mentor program that I run here. And part of this conversation that we can play with this release and timing, this is how we can teach through feel. This is how we can have a dialogue with our horses through feel, not by overpowering the instinct, but by inviting awareness that opens the door to adaptability. And there's another survey, another research by Warren Smith and McGreevy, and they point out that timing and release don't just teach a movement, they build understanding. And that understanding is what makes our horses feel safe enough to soften. So it goes back to curiosity and confidence. Understanding creates safety or feeling of safety, and when horses feel safe, they soften. We, as human beings, because it is very much a two-way conversation. There's two people in this dialogue, you and your horse. We have our own version of this opposition reflex also. When we're under pressure, emotionally, physically, or mentally, we lean back, we resist, we brace, okay? And it's our nervous system doing exactly the same thing, protecting us from being overwhelmed. And just like our horses, we can retrain that reflex, not through force, but through awareness, again, through understanding. When we pause, again, a word that I use a lot because it is incredibly important within our conversations and dialogues, not only with our horses, but also within ourselves. So when we pause and we breathe and we choose curiosity over control, everything changes. And that is when our communication, our dialogues, our conversations become mutual. And that is what we're looking for. We're looking for collaboration, not compliance. So the next time that you feel your horse leans into your hand, just pause for a moment and feel the wisdom in that reflex. So it's not the start of a problem. It is the beginning of a conversation about balance, about awareness, and ultimately about safety. So from this week, from all the posts that I've added to the group, there's one thing that I would really like you to take away, is that leaning in, meeting that pressure isn't defiance. It is not resistance. It is the body's way, our horse's body's way of saying, I'm finding my footing. Now, of course, context matters. And these dialogues that I'm talking about within this conversation and within the posts are always looked at through the lens of how safe the human is within that conversation also. You are responsible for your safety. And I always say your safety comes first, because without you being safe, you cannot transmit, you cannot offer safety to your horses. So when you are playing with anything, whether it's this or some other conversation that or information I've added to the group, please keep yourself safe at all times. That's the end of my live about the phenomenon of how horses react to pressure in a nature-based conversation. Horsemanship through nature, or from nature, should I say, is the basis of everything that we teach here. Or the horses, the herders taught me, put it that way. I just want to finish off by mentioning the free resource that I've also added to the files here within the ReWilding Circle. It's a meta thinking guide, and it gives you 3 shifts on how once you start thinking about meta thinking, how you can have 3 shifts within your conversations to sort of slow you down and make it and gentling yourself. So it is just a very simple, gentle introduction to noticing how your thoughts affect your body and how your body in turn affects your horse. So thank you for being here as always. Stay curious, stay kind, and please keep listening through feel. Adaptability, awareness is going to be your friends when we are trying to engage with our horses on a much deeper level. Remember, their nature is the key for your understanding. Take care and bye for now.